I'm the sports professor Rick Horrow with Beyond the Scoreboard, the serious show that doesn't take itself too seriously. We have an inauguration. We have AFC and NFC championships. We have the NHL All-Star Game, the Super Bowl, Waste Management, the end of the Australian Open. Why not focus on the trillion-dollar business of sports? But sports on the field is a lot different than sports when teams and cities relate to each other well, and then they don't. And here's my take at beginning this show. Really important to understand the musical chairs and the drama that's going on in California and Nevada. More than 200,000 lives saved, $13 million donated, and unquantifiable exposure for local charities. Over 56 years, the Chargers did more for America's finest city, as they call themselves, than play games on the field. As the dust now settles on the Chargers' announcement that they're moving to Los Angeles, the attention now focuses on the market they're leaving behind. What will the day-to-day impact on a Chargerless city be? Well, the game-day economic impact mostly felt by stadium-adjacent small businesses like bars and restaurants, parking facilities, and Uber drivers. The biggest hits likely affect the region's nonprofits and tourism sales. You think about it, President Obama mused last week when he welcomed the world champion Chicago Cubs to the White House. He said, "It's worth remembering because sometimes people wonder, why are you spending money and time on sports?" It's changed attitudes and cultures in ways that seem subtle, but ultimately make us think differently about ourselves and who we are. Sports has a way sometimes of changing hearts, in a way politics and business doesn't, and sometimes just a matter of us being able to escape and relax from the difficulties of our days. Sometimes it also speaks to something better in us to be sure. Just understand the Chargers' move was made for economic reasons. No one can doubt the motivation. The bottom line is there's a lot of work to be done in Southern California. A lot of work to be done on our show. The Steelers and Patriots head into the AFC Championship. We'll have a Rooney talking about the Steelers' legacy. We'll also, going into the beginning of the LPGA season, talk to Morgan Pressel, the youngest woman ever win a major on the PGA, the LPGA Tour, talking about something more important, her foundation. Rick Horrow, Beyond the Scoreboard. Be back in a minute.
Don't complain about your cable bill going up and up and up. Do something about it. Grab a pencil and jot down this special number.
Call 877-499-MY-TV.
The more cable TV rates go up, the better digital satellite TV looks. So cancel the cable and get more of your favorite channels in 100% digital quality for less money.
Call 877-499-MY-TV.
Right now to sign up for packages starting as low as $24.99, and there's no equipment to buy. You get free HD TV upgrade, a free DVR upgrade, and free professional installation. You control what you watch when you watch it. Record your favorite shows, pause and rewind live TV, even skip the commercials. Watch local channels too. At just $24.99, what are you waiting for? Pull out your major credit or debit card.
Call 877-499-MY-TV. That's 877-499-MY-TV.
Cancel the cable, cut costs, and get more.
Call now, 877-499-MY-TV. That's 877-499-MY-TV.
Rebuild or replace transmission, $3,200. Anti-lock brake system, $1,000. Rebuild or replace engine, $2,400. Truth is, once your manufacturer's warranty runs out, it's all on you. Every last cent. Get protection for covered repairs with a vehicle service contract from Toco Warranty. Unlike other companies, with Toco, there's no down payment, and the monthly payments are really affordable. Not sure how long you're keeping your car? At Toco, you can pay as you go. Keep your hard-earned cash and call Toco Warranty right now at 800-222-2313 to save big money on covered auto repairs. Prices vary by vehicle, but for about the cost of a tank of gas per month, a Toco plan has your back on expensive covered car repairs. Monthly payments are very affordable. Get your free quote now. Call Toco at 800-222-2313. That's 800-222-2313. 800-222-2313. Cancellation fee may apply. Subject to eligibility. Not available in Missouri and Washington. Waiting period and deductible apply. Coverage provided and administered by Warrantech Corporation or its affiliates. Not affiliated with any manufacturer or dealership. Visit TocoWarranty.com for complete terms and conditions.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for prescription drugs? Well, we have great news. Now you can finally get prescription drugs at huge discounts from Canada Dry. Drug Center. That's right, the most popular drugs for cholesterol, high blood pressure, depression, diabetes, arthritis, and many more are now up to 75% off. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices when you can get brand name drugs at the lowest price? Call today and get up to 75% off all the popular brand name prescription drugs. Never pay high prices again. Get the most popular drugs at huge savings from our Canadian and international pharmacies and fulfillment centers. No insurance? No problem. Prices are so low you do not need benefits or insurance to get all your prescriptions fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting to take your call now. Order today and get free shipping. Just call 800-950-1180. Up to 75% off all the popular brand name prescription drugs and free shipping. Call 800-950-1180. That's 800-950-1180.
Welcome back to Beyond the Scoreboard, the serious show that doesn't take itself too seriously, but in a trillion-dollar business, how can you not? Here's the bottom line of NFL football. It is tough. It's about branding. It's also about legacy. Steelers and the Patriots, one of the oldest rivalries in the NFL. The winner, again, capturing the hearts and minds of the region. But clearly, it's two old guard owners. One, the Kraft family, done an amazing thing for New England, and the other, the oldest of guard, the Rooney family. Art bought the franchise of the Steelers in 1933, and Pat and Dan perpetuated legacy. Pat Rooney Jr., friend, Palm Beach County, Rooney's Golf Foundation, American Bar Association, most important, Clemson, he would say, Clemson University, Villanova University School of Law, and talking about the family that may be the first family of professional football, the Rooneys.
Sports professor Rick Horrow keeping score beyond the boardroom, inside politics, sports, football. It converges, and it couldn't have converged at a better time. The dreaded Pittsburgh Steelers are taking on the New England Patriots. I better not say dreaded because of the guy that's on the line. He is Pat Rooney, Clemson University BA, Villanova, Lehigh, a representative from the Florida House from 2010 to 2016. He's FAU Honors College. We got a lot to talk about with Pat in addition to the matchup that's coming up. He's more importantly the president of the Palm Beach County Golf Association and the American Bar Association. Pat Rooney, which one is more important to you, the American Bar Association or the Palm Beach County Golf Association?
I'm going Golf Association, Rick. Sports has been a big part of my life. Golf in particular, since I was a little kid, one of the things that really helped me and my dad and our relationship as we, went along in this life's journey. And I've been part of the Golf Association now for, almost 20 years. So that's much more important than something, with the lawyers and falling asleep.
And there you go, ladies and gentlemen. And I also have seen him on the golf course, and he has a lot to be proud of with that swing. He's kind of a lanky dude, but, the Rooneys get things done, as we know. So before we get into some of the other important issues about the rest of your life, obviously the Rooneys and the Steelers are inevitably and irrevocably linked as a brand, not only in Pittsburgh, but in the NFL. So will you first describe the considerable and ever-diverse Rooney family tree for us?
That is a tough question to answer, Rick, but I will say this. If your name is Art or Dan, you've got some link to the Rooney family. I think researching it myself, I think there's 5 or 6 sets of Arts or Dans going back to the 1800s in Ireland and Scotland where, my ancestors came from. So basically, in a real quick nutshell, my Uncle Dan is the oldest of 5 brothers. My grandfather, Art, started the team in 1933. And then Dan, Art Jr., Tim, and then my dad, Pat and John, are twins. They're the 2 youngest. So there's 5 brothers. And like I said, if your name's Art or Dan, then your chances are very good that you're somewhere in the Rooney family.
Ladies and gentlemen, do you get that? Is there a pecking order, by the way, of older Rooney siblings and younger Rooney siblings where you sit in the suite, who gets the right tickets, who gets to yell the loudest? How does that all work around the Thanksgiving table?
Well, in the old days, yes. If you were the oldest Rooney male, then that gave you some level of prestige. But since we've been, for estate reasons, have been divesting. Some of the brothers have been selling off their portions of the team, their ownership portions of the team. That's pretty much gone out the window. Now you're kind of on your own. If you want to get tickets or field passes or anything like that, you almost have to go through the regular procedures that anybody else would want to get those things. So one of the unfortunate things with the way estates work now is that because we've had to eliminate a lot of our interest in the team, at least my family and 4 of the other 5 families, you don't have those perks like you used to. But there's still a slight bit of prestige that you get from being one of the oldest, but not as much as like it used to be.
It is ironic. A lot of the audience will be Patriot-related audience, and the Krafts have insinuated in a positive way themselves into New England sports lore because of what they've done and how they've done it. Looking back as a member of one of the older patriarchal families of the NFL, what do you think of the job that the Krafts have done in resurrecting the Patriots?
No, I mean, it's just been unbelievable. I mean, that team, if you remember, I'm sure, Rick, going back years when it was the Sullivans and then Victor Keim, I think, took it over after them. They were just a team, that was, they'd have some decent years every once in a while, but then there'd be periods of just mediocrity, if not outright bad play and bad personnel decisions and things like that. And when Mr. Kraft came in and took over the ownership of that team, he brought a different philosophy. And I remember one of the stories being that, he used to go down, sort of like into the end zone area and greet the fans before games. And I remember a clip, I think it was on NFL Films, of a guy just basically telling him, a fan, that, the intercom system was terrible and they couldn't really hear the announcements or the players' names or whatever. And I remember Kraft, actually listening to that guy, and then the next shot was them doing something with the public announcing system there to fix that. And you need that kind of a hands-on type of guy that for a franchise like that was just kind of, again, muddled in mediocrity for a long time. And to have that mindset, I think, especially over the years, just shows, that the dedication that Mr. Kraft had to that team, but to the fans, to the organization as a whole. And that's how you start a championship-type team, is from the ground up with everybody, grounds crew, people selling the popcorn, parking vendors, everything, goes into it. And I think that's what Mr. Kraft has been able to do with such success there. Is build that from the ground up, and now you've had a run of almost 16, 17 years, which is unprecedented in the NFL, of success, and that really started with him and how he decided from day one that things were going to be run there, and it's just been reflective over these last 17 years of success.
Well, Pat Rooney, it sounds pretty similar to what your family's mantra has been with the Steelers ever since Patriarch Art bought the team in 1933, and then Dan, it's fans first, it's fans last, and fans in the middle, and the Steelers have done an incredible job of building that brand in Western Pennsylvania and also around the world. They're one of the top teams in Mexico, one of the top teams around the world, not only the terrible towels, but the history and legacy of the 70s and beyond. What's the one thing you can point to that got that done?
I think it was, starting with my grandfather, I think it was just a personal touch, the ability for him to connect with what everybody, calls the quote-unquote common man, which I think my grandfather wouldn't know what you were talking about because he viewed himself as a common man. When he started his real job, which initially was working in a steel mill, and he made it half of a day and was sweating and dirty and filthy and just said to himself, even though his father and his grandfather before him, that's what they were doing, he just made it a point for himself that was not the life he was going to lead. And he got involved in different interests, including boxing promoting and things like that. But sports was ultimately what he was most interested in. He was a amateur football player, baseball player, boxer. He made the Olympic team in 1920. He didn't ultimately go. But he was a man, a real Renaissance type person. He had a lot of interest, but he knew what he didn't want to do, and that was work in a steel mill. So he always had that ability. He did not come from the silver spoon background or anything like that.
We will be back in a moment with the remainder of the Rick Horrow, Pat Rooney exclusive interview only on Beyond the Scoreboard with Rick Horrow.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for prescription drugs? Well, we have great news. Now you can finally get prescription drugs at huge discounts from Canada Drug Center. That's right, the most popular drugs for cholesterol, high blood pressure, depression, diabetes, arthritis, and many more are now up to 75% off. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices when you can get brand name drugs at the lowest price? Call today and get up to 75% off all the popular brand name prescription drugs. Never pay high prices again. Get the most popular drugs at huge savings from our Canadian and international pharmacies and fulfillment centers. No insurance? No problem. Prices are so low you do not need benefits or insurance to get all your prescriptions fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting to take your call now. Order today and get free shipping. Just call 800-950-1180. Up to 75% off all the popular brand name prescription drugs and free shipping. Call 800-950-1180. That's 800-950-1180.
$100 million in jury verdicts and settlements for serious injury victims, medical malpractice victims, and surviving family members of wrongful death victims. Trial Lawyers for Justice. This is a firm that does not handle frivolous lawsuits. They go after insurance company money, and they're darn good at it. They don't sell their clients out or settle cheaply. Trial Lawyers for Justice, the firm that goes the distance for you, their client. They treat their clients the way you would want your own family members taken care of. Nicholas Rowley, Dominic Pachota, and the other trial lawyers in the firm at Trial Lawyers for Justice, dedicated to representing the people and their families in Iowa, Minnesota, South Dakota, Wisconsin, Illinois, California, Wyoming, and many other states. Trial Lawyers for Justice. $100 million in settlements and jury verdicts already in 2016. 888-811-0844. TL4J.com. Trial Lawyers for Justice.
Tired of calls, levies, and liens from the IRS or hiring others who don't get the job done? Call Wall & Associates and you'll never talk to the IRS again. The IRS has a program to eliminate tax debt, and Wall & Associates professionals are trained to maximize its benefits for you. You always speak with a live person with real support and real knowledge. We've helped thousands of taxpayers like you settle their tax debt with the IRS for a fraction of what they owe. We solve tax problems. Call Wall & Associates now, 800-480-5708. We have the professionals who know how to solve tax problems. If you owe money to the IRS, your tax problems are not going away by themselves, and the passage of time will only make matters worse. Act now, before it's too late. Call Wall & Associates right now to speak to a professional tax relief agent. Call 800-480-5708. That's 800-480-5708. Again, 800-480-5708.
Welcome back to Beyond the Scoreboard, the serious show that doesn't take itself too seriously, but in a trillion-dollar business, how can you not? Here's the bottom line of NFL football. The Rooney family. Art bought the franchise of the Steelers in 1933, and Pat and Dan perpetuated legacy. Pat Rooney Jr., friend, talking about the family that may be the first family of professional football, the Rooneys.
But he knew what he didn't want to do, and that was, work in a steel mill. So he always had that ability. He did not come from the silver spoon background or anything like that, and he had the ability to relate to people and sort of understand what they were going through, understood what hard times were, and just was able throughout his life to be able to connect to not just the presidents and princes and people of high stature in society, but was much more able to relate to the common person. I can't tell you, Rick, how many times I'd be over at his house on a summer break or maybe around the holidays or something, and it almost happened without fail. Somebody would come to his door because he didn't live in a highfalutin neighborhood in Pittsburgh. People would come to his door and not necessarily to ask for money, although they did, but ask for, can he get them a job somewhere? Can he find something for them to do? And my grandfather every time would either find something, he'd say, let me get back to you, and he'd write it down and make sure that he'd follow up on that. And that was just sort of his core value system that, if he was put in a position to help people, he would do it. And that resonated throughout, the blue collar town of Pittsburgh. They just viewed him as one of their own and not somebody, quote unquote, special or anything like that. He was just a person who happened to be a hard worker in Pittsburgh, but that made it through a lot of those hard depression type times, and then was able to give back. And I think that's the one thing that he was able to, however you do that, to bring that to the team where, again, the janitor or the custodian was on the same level as the president of the team in terms of a team moving towards a goal, and he viewed everybody with equal importance.
It would be great to get back to those days. So just hypothetically, you can't answer this question. That's the beauty of a hypothetical question. But it's been 85, 86 years since the Steelers came into being, and Art Rooney originally. What do you think Art and maybe Dan now would think about the Patriots' 17-year dynasty? Is it a, boy, they look like we used to look as far as off-field, performing better than on the field that the Steelers did for 30, 40, 50 years, but that it's a great opportunity. We were real football, and these are kind of Johnny-come-latelys. There's a little bit in between.
I don't think so. I think I haven't really spoke to my Uncle Dan about, his thoughts on the Patriots per se, but I'm just knowing him, knowing the family the way we are, I think they're happy with what New England has been able to do. And yeah, I mean, we want to beat them, and we wish we had some of the success that they've had, because our team has been decent these last, 15, 16 years as well, but we haven't been as good as they are. So there might be a little bit of that competitiveness, but that's my Uncle Dan took the same philosophy that my grandfather did. What he viewed everything as, is this good for the league? Is it good for the league as a whole that the Patriots are so good? And I think he, without question, would say yes, and for a couple of reasons. Because there's a lot of people that like the Patriots. There's a lot of people from Boston, just like in Pittsburgh, that have left the New England area and they've moved to Arizona, or they've moved to Florida, they've moved somewhere else, but they've kept that allegiance to New England, and that sort of has spread to other parts of the country. And I think my uncle would say that's good for the league. But more importantly, almost, is there's a lot of people that hate New England. They're like Duke or the Yankees, or teams that have been so good for so long, and you're getting sick of seeing Tom Brady on commercials and in movies and everywhere else and winning all the time. But that's good, Rick. That's
you
good.
Forgot Alabama.
We'll
put Alabama in there. We'll get
a week
to that.
ago.
We'll get to that.
But that love-hate relationship with a team is actually, I think, a good thing for the league, because it polarizes people. You get into arguments and stuff, but it's all in good fun. But I think ultimately those types of dynasties are really good for the league, because people ultimately want to beat them or overcome them, and then you go on to the next one. But I absolutely think my uncle couldn't be happier in one way that the Patriots are successful. Now, he wants to beat them, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, it's good for the league what the Patriots have been able to do.
The final question about the history of the NFL, but I think people all over the country ought to know this. Does your family look back, the Rooney family, at a sense of pride, as they should, along with the Hallises and the Maras and Green Bay and the Fords, that you really made the league, that if there wasn't the fateful all for one and one for all in the late 50s and early 60s about sharing television money, there probably wouldn't be an NFL. Certainly wouldn't be Green Bay Packers, but it wouldn't be the NFL as strong as it is today, with franchises approaching $2 billion. that? How does it make you feel?
Well, I think, I have sort of talked to my uncle a little bit about this, and my dad, who was around during those times in the really in the 40s and 50s when my dad and my uncle were just young kids, teenagers. But in those days, Rick, the NFL wasn't even a second class league of something. In those days, boxing, horse racing, college football, and especially baseball were kind of the kings of sports, and pro football was really looked upon as I don't even think it was categorized as kind of a real sport type thing. It was guys trying to make money off of something that the pure college football arena, it was a more pure arena. So in the 40s and then getting into the 50s, football was really a struggling entity. And there was really no guarantee that it was going to continue to be able to be something on an ongoing basis that was going to make money. And my grandfather always said, his biggest thing was not winning on Sundays. It was making payroll on Mondays because, again, you just didn't know if you were going to get, the people to come out and see the game. So when the game was starting to grow in the 50s, the teams like the Giants and the Redskins and the sort of from the main television or the population markets, when they'd go to Pittsburgh, that's when we'd have our biggest crowds because you get people that couldn't necessarily get tickets or whatever in New York. They'd come to Pittsburgh or Washington. They'd come to Pittsburgh to see the game. So that would help our gate. And really what happened was those teams started saying, hey, this is Washington and New York. They'd say, this is unfair. You guys are making all this money off of our fans that are coming to your games and spending money on parking and stuff like that. So really it wasn't quite, I don't think, as altruistic as a lot of people thought it was going to be, but those teams sort of said, we want part of the gate. We want part of this because, that's we're losing money because our fans are going to see in your venue. And so what I think happened when the TV started popping up in the late 50s, early 60s, is that revenue sharing mantra just took the next step with TV. And it ended up, obviously, like you're saying, you wouldn't have a team like Green Bay or some of these other real small market teams. They wouldn't be around today. But TV and that revenue sharing was able to keep a lot of those teams afloat through their bad years. And ultimately, when we got to the Super Bowl era and the sport exploded, this sport of pro football, it was like the rising tide, lifted all the boats. So it was a weird thing in the early, the 40s and early 50s of the quote unquote revenue sharing concept. That it wasn't quite like the Giants were like, hey, we want everybody. The Giants just wanted their take of what they thought was belonged to them, but that ultimately, either through luck or however you want to categorize it, ended up being a great thing for the league as a whole.
Altruistic or not, it's certainly a great place in history, and the Roonies deserve their highest place. Now, think carefully. This is the last question I'm going to ask you. If you had to make this choice, which one would it be? You won in the Florida House for 3 elections, District 85 from 2010 to 2016. If you were granted a winning of an election for the rest of your life, A, B, your beloved Clemson winning another national championship, or C, the Steelers winning the Super Bowl? Which is it?
Oh boy, that is a tough one. I mean, you can throw the election one out. I got my fill of that for the 6 years. But the Clemson was really special only because I got there in '82, so I missed the championship year in '81 by a year, and then we went on probation. Probably because of what we did to get to the championship in '81. So for the 4 years I was there, we were basically on probation. We couldn't go to any ball games or any of that kind of stuff. So this last week was really special because my kids are now getting a little bit older and they know that, I take pride in coming and going to Clemson and all that kind of stuff. But, just strictly for, my family as a whole, Rick, I'd have to say if we could get another Super Bowl, and I don't want to sound, as my dad would say, hoggy, because, we're fortunate enough to have 6 already, but those are just such special times when you can go with your family to the game, and if they're lucky enough to win the game, there's such a sense of euphoria and happiness that really there's nothing else on earth that I've ever experienced in my life, with the exception of maybe my kids being born, that can match that feeling, even if it only lasts for a few days. But boy, it's such a fun thing to be able to share with your family, especially, my kids are still relatively young, and to see the looks on their faces when the confetti's coming down and everything, you can't buy that.
Ladies and gentlemen, good friend Pat Rooney. He's no longer in politics, but that sounded like a classic political answer. Rick Horrow, Beyond the Scoreboard. Be back in a minute.
And now, today's General Steel building tip. Buy a large lot with a friend or family member that can be split into 2 smaller lots. Some of the most appealing properties may be much larger than what you want or can afford. Yet the seller may not be willing to break up a large parcel. So if you can share the costs with someone else, preferably someone you don't mind having as a neighbor, you may be able to pick up a great building site for a reasonable price. And now, a word from General Steel.
This is an alert. If your business or church is building this year, you're about to pay more than you should. This could mean thousands of dollars more for your office, retail space, church, or warehouse. A General Steel building can save you as much as half the cost and time of similar conventional construction. And we're offering rebates of up to $20,000 to help you build today. Call General Steel for free information that could save you thousands. Call 866-95-STEEL. 866-95-STEEL. That's 866-95-STEEL.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 877-663-7126 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 877-663-7126 to take your call now. Call 877-663-7126. That's 877-663-7126. Again, 877-663-7126.
Rebuild or replace transmission, $3,200. Anti-lock brake system, $1,000. Rebuild or replace engine, $2,400. Truth is, once your manufacturer's warranty runs out, it's all on you. Every last cent. Get protection for covered repairs with a vehicle service contract from Toco Warranty. Unlike other companies, with Toco, there's no down payment, and the monthly payments are really affordable. Not sure how long you're keeping your car? At Toco, you can pay as you go. Keep your hard-earned cash and call Toco Warranty right now at 800-222-2313 to save big money on covered auto repairs. Prices vary by vehicle, but for about the cost of a tank of gas per month, a Toco plan has your back on expensive covered car repairs. Monthly payments are very affordable. Get your free quote now. Call Toco at 800-222-2313. That's 800-222-2313. 800-222-2313. Cancellation fee may apply. Subject to eligibility. Not available in Missouri and Washington. Waiting period and deductible apply. Coverage provided and administered by Warrantech Corporation or its affiliates. Not affiliated with any manufacturer or dealership. Visit TocoWarranty.com for complete terms and conditions.
Morgan Pressel, PGA, LPGA Tour golfer, turning pro at age 17, youngest ever winner of a modern LPGA major championship, vaulted her into a career-high 4th in the world rankings at that point, and now not only a senior stateswoman, she won't like that, but she's clearly commanding respect all over the LPGA, and most important for this interview, very, very prominent business lady, her own foundation, very successful fundraising event every January, Morgan Pressel. Rick Horrow, Beyond the Boardroom, keeping score, sports and business, the intersection's trillion-dollar business, and the business now has to be based on not just how you earn the money, but what you do with it after you earn it and giving back. A classic give back for a long time, Morgan Pressel, who at the age of 12 was the youngest player to qualify for the U.S. Women's Open until Lexi Thompson came along, but still the youngest at the time, obviously. But more than that, she's known as a crusader since her mom's death from breast cancer and the kind of creator of a great foundation. We will get into the golf side of the world first, but this is primarily about the foundation in honor of your mom, etc. How are you?
I'm great, Rick. How are you?
I'm wonderful. So, first of all, you just came off of a huge event that is the annual What to Do in Palm Beach County in South Florida the first week in January. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it was definitely a crazy weekend, very overwhelming. We work hard on it all year. I have a great team of members and staff from St. Andrews Country Club where I live and where the event is hosted that really works hard all year to pull this event together, and we have a large auction and dinner as well as a full day of golf, and it just, I don't know how it happens, but the team just works so hard to pull everything together and keep making it bigger and better every year, and it was a lot of fun. It goes by in a blur for me, but it was just, we sold out in a week this year, which was crazy. We had over 400 people attend the dinner, and I have a great group of professionals both from this year from the LPGA and the PGA Tour champions that came to support us and help our guests make sure they had a great time, and I can't thank them enough for donating their time as well.
Well, clearly, people know you as a great golfer, but I am lucky enough to know that you have a passion for business as well, and a passion for business also includes a passion for management and putting the right people in the right places. So you have an idea years ago, certainly after September 2003, and you are 15, but you need to have some kind of an understanding to honor your mom and raise some dollars and keep the memory alive. So how do you structure a foundation? Does your agent do it for you? Do you manage it and say, here's the way I want it to happen? Does it evolve organically? From a business perspective, tell us how it happens.
Well, it kind of evolved organically. I think that's a great way to say it. We had our first event. This was our 10th event. So our first event was 10 years ago. And I'm a teenager. I don't know anything about business. I don't know anything about fundraising. My grandfather was a doctor, pathologist, and he and I kind of got a few of our friends together who really knew my mother as well and wanted to honor her legacy. And certainly we asked a bunch of people who had been part of charity events as well in the past, and golf's a natural fit. I mean, even athletes from other sports, they all have golf charity events, to raise money for their passions. And so being a golfer, it was just kind of like, well, let's have a golf tournament. Now what do we do? How do we get people involved? How do we create an auction? How do we do all that kind of stuff? And then what do we want to support? Where do we want the money to go? And the natural fit was our local hospital right here at Boca Raton Regional. And so originally, when we started out, there wasn't a foundation created. We worked with the hospital to partner on this event where funds went directly to them. And then as the event grew and the money that we raised grew, we ended up creating a foundation so we could keep better track of everything. That's just more on the business side and how we could support other organizations as well. Like now we support Sylvester Cancer Center as well as Boca Raton Regional Hospital. So that just is how that evolved over time. But we started with the event. We started saying we want to do something. Let's play golf, and asked our friends for help with their expertise in being part of events like that in the past.
And it evolves with a business mind behind it, not just let me do something so my PR people can tout it. That's clearly never what you've done. And then we'll leave this and we'll get into the golf. If there's one bit of advice that you could give other professional athletes in creating their foundations and making sure it's successful, it would be what?
Find something that you're really passionate about, because for me, this is my biggest passion. I love to play golf for sure, but making sure that other women and families don't have to go through what my mother went through, that's my tremendous passion. And it helps other people get on board when they see that you're really, really passionate about it. And I'm incredibly lucky that I have so many friends here at St. Andrews, as well as members that do share that passion and want to give back to our community.
And your uncle, is he still the director of tennis at St. Andrews, Aaron Christie?
He is, yes.
Is he upset, by the way, that now that the roof is on the U.S. Open Tennis Center, they don't talk about his match against Jimmy Connors anymore?
I don't know about upset. I think he's probably happy they don't show it on TV every year.
Yeah, everybody knows that he is the probably most watched loser in the history of professional tennis. But a good guy nonetheless, obviously, as we move on. So you're 12 years old, and you're the youngest player to qualify for the U.S. Women's Open. How do you stay grounded?
Oh, man, when I was 12, that was like the most incredible experience of my life.
Not too long ago.
All right. A while ago. But, I mean, to be able to tee it up along truly the best players in the world, and at the time it was Annika Sorenstam and Kari Webb and Sari Pak were kind of the big three in ladies golf, and players that I certainly looked up to, and Julie Inkster among them as well. And I was like, I wanted to spend all day in the locker room just so I could see people, just so I could, because I was allowed in the same place. And it was just, that was kind of the moment where I realized that this is what I want to do. But granted, like, if I look back at my interview transcripts, I mean, I'm like this little cocky kid. It's so funny.
Yeah, but that's my question. You don't lack confidence, but you are measured now, seriously, and I mean it in a very positive way. Were you overwhelmed, or was it like, I can beat these people?
I don't know if I had the attitude that I can beat these people. I think I just really wanted to go in and play my best, and then just have the best experience and meet the most people and learn as much as I could from them. And like I said, it was kind of after I came home from that, I was like, okay, I've focused on golf, but I'm going to focus more. This is what I really want to do with my life. And it was just, I mean, to have that experience at 12 years old, it's crazy.
Yeah, most people can't relate to that. But then, and we're not living in the past for any obvious reason. It's just that you've been so good for so long. So let's segue just quickly to the earning of the tour card, and it's 05, and you've earned it. And was there any question about college versus this, or is it I'll deal with college later, or I don't need it if I'm successful on the tour? What was the mindset there?
Oh, definitely. It was a tough decision. I had actually early committed to Duke University. They had a great golf program, still do, with Coach Dan Brooks, and that was kind of where I'd always wanted to go. And then comes the summer between my junior and my senior year, and I started to play in some LPGA events on sponsors exemptions and had a little bit of success, and just kind of thought, maybe I can go back to college. This is a time for me to see what I'm made of, to see if it's possible. And college will always be there, maybe not for free, as it necessarily would have been with a scholarship, but I can go back. I want to give this a shot. Having seen my uncle, as you mentioned, not go to college either, that was kind of, I knew that there was light at the end of the tunnel in that sense. Like it seemed more realistic to me to be able to make it, having watched my uncle do it as well. So I had that in the back of my head, and we just gave it a shot. And
a pretty darn good shot. Any truth to the rumor that you turned Duke down because they didn't guarantee you the front row in that Cameron Crazy cheering section?
I would have been the craziest one in there.
Yeah, no, I think my daughter is, but that's another issue. So you obviously win a major very early in your career. I understand that you thought this was the first of many, but what about endorsement deals, sponsorship deals? Today, you've got Callaway Golf and Polo Ralph Lauren and Royal Bank of Canada and Audemars Piguet. Did I miss any?
Yeah, I was Under Armour and Callaway. I've been with Callaway my whole career, and RBC as well. So
I missed some, so I apologize but you got them. So the answer is, at 19, do we start developing a corporate portfolio? Do you start thinking about what business is going to be like, assuming the major win is a first of many?
Definitely. I mean, I had an agent that worked hard to secure those kinds of deals, and has been working hard for me ever since. So, yeah, definitely. I mean, part of the business and how to find brands and corporations that match with my lifestyle and so that we're real partners. You know, it's not, hey, let's sign this deal and, you know, we'll pay you and you wear our logo. It's, you know, how can you help our clients? How can you help our business? And how can we all work together?
Is the LPGA Tour moving in the right direction? And with the magic wand, do we change anything? Is Mike Whan doing everything that you think he should be doing?
You know, I really think Mike has done an incredible job. I've been on tour now. This will be my 12th year, so I've seen it from a peak, I don't even know, like the bottom of the desert canyon floor to, you know, back up and thriving. And being in the past year, and I joined the board, the player board, 6 players that also sit in the boardroom with the independent directors and executive leadership team of the tour, and I see the behind the scenes. So it's given me really a tremendous understanding of how the tour works, and I think Mike and his team are doing an incredible job, and I can say that having seen what goes on behind the scenes. It's pretty impressive what he's been able to do for the last 6 years or so, and hopefully we can keep moving on up because the product is great. The product is fantastic.
Product is great, and the Mike Whan deal-making perspective is great. I can testify how quickly the deal in Indianapolis was put together with a sponsor and the event on Labor Day weekend, the Guggenheim Women in Tech Championship. Talk just for a couple minutes about the uniqueness of that and where the proceeds are going.
I'm really excited about the Indy Women in Tech event. Partnering with Guggenheim on that and then playing it at the Brickyard, which is such an historic place in Indianapolis and in the world. Everybody, especially racing fans, know the Brickyard. So it's really cool for ladies golf to be there and then to support the local tech community and encourage more women to get into the tech field, as there's such a shortage of women that move on past schooling into the tech industry. I think it's going to be a really unique event for us and a great event for the community of Indianapolis.
I agree with that. So the other piece of this, just concluding and moving forward, you're not 30 yet. You will be. You will be, period.
Don't age me yet.
Yeah, all right. So we won't even talk about how soon that'll be, but happy birthday. We're out getting the cake, by the way, soon. So Morgan Pressel, great to have you on. Rick Horrow, Beyond the Scoreboard. See you in a minute.
We all know healthcare has changed drastically. It's quite the puzzle to sort through your options and find a health insurance plan that's affordable and maximizes your benefits. And you're now required by law to have health insurance, or you may pay a tax penalty. So let the Health Markets Insurance Agency help you. They offer plans from over 120 different companies and can even help you obtain government subsidies. Let them do all the research for you and show you how affordable health insurance can be, a service that's at no extra cost to you. Call now and learn your options to find affordable health insurance. 800-614-1242. 800-614-1242. 800-614-1242. 800-614-1242. Health Markets Insurance Agency is a DBA or assumed name of Inspire Insurance Solutions, Inc., which is a licensed insurance agency in all 50 states and D.C. Not all agents are licensed to sell all products. Service availability varies by state.
Attention, if you've had hip replacement surgery and suffered any complications, you need to listen to this important legal alert. Major manufacturers have made billions of dollars available to award legal claims for defective hip implants. Thousands of these defective hip implants have been recalled by various manufacturers. If you've had hip surgery and suffered complications, you may be entitled to receive significant compensation to help you deal with your complications. You may be eligible to receive money to help with medical expenses, lost wages, hemorrhages and pain and suffering. Protect yourself by hiring an experienced trial attorney. Our partner law firms are experts in hip replacement surgery lawsuits. Find out now if you're eligible to receive any of the $2.5 billion hip settlement fund. Call now for free information. 800-296-1360. 800-296-1360. 800-296-1360. That's 800-296-1360.
Tired of calls, levies, and liens from the IRS or hiring others who don't get the job done? Call Wall & Associates and you'll never talk to the IRS again. The IRS has a program to eliminate tax debt, and Wall & Associates professionals are trained to maximize its benefits for you. You always speak with a live person with real support and real knowledge. We've helped thousands of taxpayers like you settle their tax debt with the IRS for a fraction of what they owe. We solve tax problems. Call Wall & Associates now, 800-480-5708. We have the professionals who know how to solve tax problems. If you owe money to the IRS, your tax problems are not going away by themselves, and the passage of time will only make matters worse. Act now, before it's too late. Call Wall & Associates right now to speak to a professional tax relief agent. Call 800-480-5708. That's 800-480-5708. Again, 800-480-5708.
Sports Professor Rick Horrow, Beyond the Scoreboard. Time again for Bust, Boom, and Hope. The not so good, the good, and the hopeful in the economy for this week. How about Bust? The Blackhawks have one of the best records in the NHL thus far, but the team's local TV ratings don't reflect that. Blackhawks posted an average local rating of 3.15 for their 29 broadcasts on CSN Chicago thus far, down 17% from the same point last season. The stats probably skewed due to one critical factor. The early games overlapped with who? The Cubs World Series run. Blackhawks telecasts on CNN went up against the Cubs NLCS or World Series games, including the lowest rated game thus far on November 1 against the Flames, with a 1.3. And ever since the Cubs ended their season as world champions, the Blackhawks have seen a steady climb in local ratings, clearly a case of continued astronomical expectations coupled with Cub mania in Chicagoland. A pleasant problem for Chicago, with two championship-worthy teams struggling for superiority in the take and on television. Next, boom. The on-field success of the Atlanta Falcons has played a huge role in the team's improved personal seat license sales. PSL sales risen from less than 33,000 at the start of the season to about 41,000 now. Historically, team performance directly related to suite, seat, and PSL sales. Fortunately for Arthur Blank and the Falcons, the team realizing its true potential just as the marketing of the stadium is most important. Good timing, Falcons. And finally, hope. Things are starting to look up for men's tennis. Years go by without a deep pool of domestic talent. 7 U.S. men 20 or younger made it to the 128-player main draw for the Australian. Many 20 or younger players were competing last year and becoming even better. And the USTA's new training complex recently opened in Orlando, where these same players work in a room together and work out together. While Jack Sock and John Isner are the faces of the current American program, look for new, diverse, and talented fresh faces in the years to come. New facilities and programs clearly have that effect on all types of programs all across the globe. That's our show for this week. We'd like to thank Pat Rooney. Good luck to his Steelers. We'd like to thank Morgan Pressel. Keep raising money for the foundation. And we'd like to thank you for listening and watching. Next week at the NHL All-Star Weekend, join us when we go Beyond the Scoreboard.